Today I want to talk about unjust decisions, choices that other people make which are out of your control, which you feel like impact you in a very negative and unfair way. We've all been in situations where people around us get jobs that we feel we're so much better suited to, or we've earned so much more. Somebody that we're attracted to asks somebody else out on a date over us, and we can't understand why we're not being picked. Or our friend goes to someone else for help and advice on something that we feel we could have given them advice on that for. Why are they better qualified? Why wouldn't that person think of us? And ultimately, what we need to understand in these situations is that other people's choices are out of our control. The thing that is in our control is the way that we react to those decisions. Whether we agree with them or not is a very important factor. We need to keep our calm, take a step back, and ask ourselves if we feel like the decision that person made was the right decision. Sometimes it will be. The good thing about that is there's always something to learn there. However, the majority of the time in these situations, they're unjust, so you probably don't agree with the decision that's been made. You feel like you deserved it more than the person that ultimately got what you wanted. Often what we do in these situations is that we let those choices from other people dictate the way that we feel about ourselves. We needed them to make the right choice in order to validate ourselves in that area. We needed our boss to give us that promotion to tell us that we're good at our job. We needed that guy or girl to ask us on a date to feel like we're attractive. We needed that friend to come to us for that advice to know that we're a good advice giver who has valuable things to say. These are all flawed logics. Just because other people make a certain decision does not mean to say that it's the right one. How much of our lives do we spend with regret over bad decisions that we've made? It's a very human and a very natural thing. We don't get things right all the time. It's just part of living the life that we're living. And it's fine, it's okay. But part of that also is realizing that everyone else is in the same boat. Later on down the line, that person might realize that they made the wrong choice, or they might not. Either way, the most important takeaway from this is that you realize that whether they made the decision to say yes or no, you're still just as great a person regardless. Just because they didn't pick you for the job doesn't mean you wouldn't be better at it than the person they did pick, or at least just as good. Just because that person has chosen to go on a date with somebody else doesn't mean that you're not as attractive as them or you don't have as much to offer. Just because your friend went to somebody else for advice doesn't mean that you wouldn't have given better advice that would have helped them more in their life and in that particular situation that they needed help with. What we don't want to do in these situations is build up resent. Resent for the other person who got it over us, resent for the person that made the decision, or what most commonly happens is building up resent for ourselves because we suddenly don't feel good enough. Instead, we need to say, this is an opportunity for me to learn. If we have the chance to talk to one of the other people in the situation, maybe we can learn a thing or two about how they achieved what we wanted to achieve. If it's the person that got chosen above us, the best thing we can do is to genuinely be happy for their success and see if it can help develop what we're doing. If it's the person that made the decision and we get the chance to talk to them about why they chose the other person, that could be insightful too. And the best way not to build up resent in ourselves is by knowing that even if we couldn't logically talk to them about it and they might give us a reason that we could accept, instead of allowing ourselves to harbour anger and resentment and jealousy in that situation, we need to learn to be good to ourselves and give ourselves that pat on the back that we didn't get from somebody else. Because you're going to be able to rely on that kind of a pat on the back in any situation at any time. Other people are out of our control. The way we treat ourselves is totally up to us. The worst part of other people making the wrong decisions is when it affects us and makes us feel worse about ourselves. The best things about other people making the wrong decisions, A, we can learn from those decisions, and B, we can have that real confidence in ourselves to know that either way, we still think that we're pretty great. But instead of that making us annoyed and build up bad feelings towards the person that seemingly did better than us despite all of that, we need to believe that our time will come. That we're going to do much better for ourselves by using that time productively to think, okay, maybe I need to reevaluate this situation. We should always prioritize our happiness as the most important thing in our life. In other words, these petty battles which we may or may not win in the end should not become more important to us than our own productivity, our own ability to move forward in life, and our own self-worth, achievement, and happiness. The moment we lose sight of that for any other more trivial reason, something isn't working. And ironically, at that point, it isn't other people that are making the bad decisions, because actually it's us that are making the worst decisions we can for ourselves. Instead of allowing ourselves to harbour, in other words, these petty battles which we may or may not win, should never be, oh God.